The Indiana Fever have a championship-caliber roster. They've got Caitlin Clark, the most electrifying rookie in WNBA history. They've got Sophie Cunningham, literally the best shooter in the entire league right now with her scorching hot three-point percentage. They've got Aaliyah Boston, a generational big. And yet, here's the shocking truth that nobody wants to admit. They're playing like a lottery team when it matters most. And it's all because of one glaring issue that Stephanie White absolutely refuses to fix. Before you click away, let me tell you something that will blow your mind. Sophie Cunningham is shooting over 40% from three this season. She's been the most consistent shooter in the entire WNBA. And yet in their last 5 games, she's been left wide open more times than I can count, and her own teammates keep looking her off. If this makes you as frustrated as it makes me, hit that like button right now, because what I'm about to reveal will have you questioning everything about this team's coaching. Let's start with what happened just this week. The Fever are sitting at 18-15, third in the Eastern Conference, fighting for playoff positioning. They should be dominating teams. They should be building chemistry for a deep playoff run. Instead, they're playing the most selfish basketball I've ever seen from a supposedly contending team, and Stephanie White is just standing there watching it happen. Here's what's really going on behind the scenes. Multiple sources close to the team have noticed a disturbing pattern. In practice, the ball moves beautifully. Players find the open shooter, make the extra pass, play team basketball, but the moment the bright lights come on and the game starts, it's like someone flipped a switch. Suddenly, it's hero ball central, with Kelsey Mitchell taking contested jumpers while Sophie Cunningham stands wide open in the corner, waving her arms like she's trying to land a plane. Let me paint you a picture of just how bad this has gotten. In their recent game against the Chicago Sky, Sophie Cunningham went 5 of 6 from the field. 5 of 6! That's 83% shooting. You know how many shots she got up? 6. 6 shots for the hottest shooter in the league. Meanwhile, Kelsey Mitchell went 9 of 18. That's 50%, which isn't terrible. But when you've got someone shooting 83% and they only get 6 shots, that's not a talent problem. That's a coaching problem. But wait, it gets worse. Since Sophie Cunningham joined the Fever in that blockbuster 4-team trade back in February, she's completely transformed this team's spacing. She's been called the team's enforcer, protecting Caitlin Clark with a black belt intensity that's earned her over 1 million followers on social media. She literally told reporters she's way happier in Indiana than she ever was in Phoenix. She's bought into this team completely. And how do they repay her? By freezing her out of the offense. The numbers don't lie, folks. When Sophie Cunningham gets 10 or more shot attempts in a game, the Fever are 12-2. When she gets less than 10 attempts, they're 6-13. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. And it's a pattern that Stephanie White should have identified and fixed months ago. You want to know what's even more infuriating? Stephanie White knows basketball. She's a Purdue legend. She won Coach of the Year with Connecticut in 2023. She led the Fever to the finals back in 2015. This isn't some rookie coach who doesn't understand the game. She knows exactly what's happening, and she's choosing to do nothing about it. Remember when the Fever went on that incredible run during the Commissioner's Cup? They were moving the ball, finding the open player, playing with that crazy aggression that White always talks about. Sophie Cunningham was getting her shots, Caitlin Clark was orchestrating the offense when she was healthy, and they looked unstoppable. They literally won the Commissioner's Cup trophy and $500,000. But as soon as the regular season resumed, they went right back to their old habits. Let's talk about Kelsey Mitchell for a second, because this is where things get really controversial. Mitchell is a good player. She's been with the Fever for 8 years, she's a 3-time All-Star, and she just signed a core contract. But there's 2 versions of Kelsey Mitchell. There's the Kelsey Mitchell who moves without the ball, takes good shots, and makes the extra pass. That Kelsey Mitchell is elite. Then there's the Kelsey Mitchell who thinks she's Kobe Bryant in the 4th quarter, taking contested fadeaways while 3 teammates stand open. The problem is, we've been seeing way too much of the second version lately. In their recent loss to Seattle, Mitchell went 3 of 16 from the field. 3 of 16! She missed all 8 of her 3-point attempts. And you know what's crazy? She kept shooting. No one told her to stop. No one said, hey, maybe we should get the ball to Sophie, who's shooting 40+% from 3. This brings me to my biggest issue with Stephanie White. She has never, not once, publicly called out a player for not passing to Sophie Cunningham. But you know who she has called out? Caitlin Clark. That's right. The best player on the team, the one who actually does pass the ball, is the only one who gets criticized. Remember when Clark went off against the Liberty and White used the entire press conference to say she should have passed more? Then she subbed Clark out as a learning experience. Meanwhile, Kelsey Mitchell can go 3 of 16, look off open shooters all game, and White will say something like, "We need to execute better," or "We need to push the pace. No accountability, no consequences, nothing." Here's what's really happening, and this is information you won't hear anywhere else. Inside sources say that White is afraid to upset the veteran players. She doesn't want to rock the boat with Mitchell, who's been there for 8 years. She doesn't want to alienate the established players by demanding they change their style. But guess what? That's exactly what a coach is supposed to do. The most successful coaches in WNBA history aren't the ones who let players do whatever they want. They're the ones who demand excellence, who hold everyone accountable, who aren't afraid to bench a star if they're not following the game plan. Look at what Becky Hammon did in Las Vegas. Look at what Sandy Brondello is doing in New York. They don't tolerate selfish play, period. And here's the thing that really drives me crazy. This Indiana Fever team has all the pieces to win a championship. They've got Caitlin Clark, who before her groin injury was putting up historic numbers. They've got Aaliyah Boston, who's been dominant in the paint and just keeps getting better. They've got Sophie Cunningham, the best shooter in the league, who also happens to be their emotional leader and enforcer. They've got Natasha Howard providing veteran leadership. They've got Lexi Hull hitting clutch threes. This roster is loaded, but talent without proper coaching is just wasted potential. And right now, that's exactly what we're seeing. Wasted potential. You know what the saddest part is? Sophie Cunningham didn't have to come to Indiana. She was happy in Phoenix. She was working as an analyst for the Suns, making good money, living her life, but when the opportunity came to join the Fever, she jumped at it because she believed in this team's potential. She saw what they were building with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. She wanted to be part of something special. And now she's standing in the corner, wide open, watching her teammates take bad shots. She's doing all the dirty work, setting screens, playing tough defense, protecting her teammates when things get physical. Remember when she pulled JC Sheldon to the ground after Sheldon poked Caitlin Clark in the eye? That's the kind of teammate Sophie is. She's got your back no matter what. But apparently, having her back doesn't include passing her the ball when she's open. The frustration is starting to show too. If you watch closely during games, you can see Sophie's body language change when she gets looked off for the 10th time. She'll throw her hands up, shake her head, and then quickly compose herself because she's a professional. But how long can that last? How long before she starts wondering if she made the right choice coming to Indiana? This is where Stephanie White's failure becomes even more apparent. It's not just about X's and O's, it's about managing personalities, creating a culture, establishing standards. And right now, the standard seems to be whoever has the ball can do whatever they want with it. Think about this for a second. The Fever have played 33 games this season. In how many of those games has White explicitly told the team to look for Sophie Cunningham? In how many timeouts has she drawn up plays specifically to get Sophie open looks? Based on what we're seeing on the court, the answer is not many. Compare that to how other teams utilize their best shooters. The Liberty Run plays for Sabrina Ionescu all game long. The Aces make sure Kelsey Plum gets her shots. The Sun get Dejanai Carrington involved early and often. That's what good coaches do. They put their players in position to succeed, but with the Fever, it's like they're playing pickup basketball. No structure, no plan, just vibes. And when you're playing against professional teams with actual offensive systems, vibes aren't enough. Let's be honest about something else too. This isn't just hurting Sophie Cunningham, it's hurting the entire team. When defenders know that the Fever won't pass to the open shooter, they can cheat off Sophie and help on drives. They can pack the paint against Aaliyah Boston. They can run Caitlin Clark off the three-point line knowing that even if Sophie is open, she probably won't get the ball. This is basketball 101 stuff. When you don't utilize your best shooter, you make everyone else's job harder, and that's exactly what's happening with the Fever right now. The timing couldn't be worse either. The playoffs are right around the corner. The Fever are currently third in the East, but they're only a few games ahead of the teams behind them. Every game matters, every possession matters, and they're wasting possessions because of poor shot selection and even worse ball movement. You want to know what's really crazy? The Fever actually have one of the best offensive ratings in the league when they move the ball. When they get 15 or more assists in a game, they're almost unbeatable. But when they have less than 15 assists, they're below 500. Again, that's not a coincidence. That's a direct correlation between ball movement and winning. So why doesn't Stephanie White emphasize this more? Why doesn't she bench players who don't pass? Why doesn't she call timeouts when the ball sticks? These are basic coaching decisions that she's simply not making. I've heard some people defend White by saying she's dealing with injuries, that Caitlin Clark has missed games, that it's hard to maintain consistency with a rotating lineup. And sure, those are challenges. But you know what? Every team deals with injuries. Every team has to adjust. The great coaches find ways to win anyway. Look at what the Fever did when Clark was out with her groin injury. They could have used that as an opportunity to involve Sophie more, to develop different offensive looks, to build chemistry between other players. Instead, they just gave Kelsey Mitchell the green light to shoot whenever she wanted. They went back to hero ball, and their offense suffered because of it. And don't even get me started on the defensive end. Sophie Cunningham is one of their best defenders, constantly getting deflections and steals. She plays with an intensity that should be contagious. But instead of the team feeding off her energy, they seem content to go through the motions on both ends of the floor. Here's what needs to happen, and it needs to happen now. Stephanie White needs to walk into that locker room and lay down the law. She needs to tell every player on that roster that if Sophie Cunningham is open, she gets the ball. Period. No exceptions. If you look her off when she's open, you're coming out of the game. She also needs to run actual plays for Sophie, not just hoping she gets open off ball movement, but actual designed plays to get her quality looks. Pin downs, flare screens, elevator doors, whatever it takes. You have the best shooter in the league. Use her. And if players don't want to buy in, if Kelsey Mitchell wants to continue playing hero ball, then she sits. I don't care if she's been there 8 years. I don't care if she's a core player. You either play team basketball or you don't play at all. This is what championship teams do. They sacrifice individual statistics for team success. They make the extra pass. They find the hot hand. They play the right way. And right now, the Fever aren't doing any of those things. The clock is ticking, people. The regular season ends in a few weeks. The playoffs are coming whether the Fever are ready or not. And based on what we've seen lately, they're not ready. Not even close. They have games against the Mystics tonight, then the Sun, and every single game is an opportunity to build the right habits. But if they continue down this path, if they continue to freeze out their best shooter while playing selfish basketball, they're going to get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. Mark my words. What makes this even more frustrating is that the fans see it. Social media is filled with people asking why Sophie doesn't get more shots. The comment sections are full of fans begging for better ball movement. Everyone except the coaching staff seems to understand what needs to happen. I've covered basketball for years, and I've never seen a more obvious solution to a team's problems. It's not complicated, it's not some advanced strategy that requires a PhD to understand. It's simple. Pass the ball to the open shooter, especially when that shooter is the best in the league. But here's the real question. Is Stephanie White capable of making these changes? Or is she so set in her ways, so afraid of confrontation, that she'll let this season slip away? Remember, this is the same coach who had issues at Vanderbilt. Her record there was 46-83. She couldn't get that program going despite having talent. Now she has a roster full of WNBA stars, and she's making the same mistakes. At some point, you have to wonder if the problem isn't the players, but the coach. The Fever organization made a big deal about bringing White back home. Kelly Krauskopf, the team president, talked about how White understands the culture and knows what it takes to win in Indiana. But understanding and executing are two different things. And right now, White isn't executing. I'm not saying she should be fired. Not yet, anyway. But she needs to take a long, hard look in the mirror and ask herself if she's doing everything possible to help this team succeed. Because from where I'm sitting, the answer is no. The solution is right there in front of her. Sophie Cunningham is shooting over 40% from 3. She's the best shooter in the league. She's a leader, a fighter, and a winner. All White has to do is make sure Sophie gets the ball when she's open. That's it. That's the big secret to unlocking this team's potential. If White can't or won't make that simple adjustment, then maybe the Fever need to start thinking about their future. Because with the talent on this roster, anything less than a deep playoff run is a failure. And right now, they're on track for exactly that, failure. The ball is in Stephanie White's court. She can either be the coach who finally gets this team over the hump, or she can be another footnote in Fever history. The choice is hers. But let me end with this. Sophie Cunningham deserves better. Caitlin Clark deserves better. The fans deserve better. This team has the potential to be special, to do something incredible. All they need is a coach with the courage to demand excellence from everyone, not just the rookie superstar. So here's my message to Stephanie White. Fix this, now, before it's too late. Your legacy and this team's season depends on it. If you agree that Sophie Cunningham needs more shots, smash that like button. And if you want to see more coverage of what's really happening with the Fever, hit subscribe and ring the notification bell. Comment below and let me know. Do you think Stephanie White is the right coach for this team? Because I'm starting to have serious doubts.